Coming back to you for part two. I'm standing here again at pole number 25, and due to an overwhelming response from you, the audience, multiple calls and texts and emails from folks, we're going to go on a journey today of the first structure that burned in the Lahaina fire and the big question that nobody is answering. In the link in this description of this video, I will put the official narrative or the official report of the cause of this fire. And only 2 times is this particular issue mentioned, but I believe it is ultimately the reason why Lahaina town burned and over 100 lives were lost. And it's interesting, it's only mentioned twice in the report. So I'm going to put the link to the description. I'm going to put the link to the description. In the description, I'm going to put the link to the report, but I'm going to point out a couple things. Now, I want you guys to know I don't agree necessarily with this narrative. I'm literally just telling you what it says, and I'm here on location so you can see with your own eyes the geography, the distances involved, and some very, very damning, I believe, assets that are right here in this area that I believe should have been working. They weren't, and it cost lives. And here we are 2 years later, no investigation, no answers, no accountability. No one's even talking about it. You would think at a very minimum the government would stand up and say, here's an explanation, here's what happened, and here's what we're doing today to make sure it's not going to happen again. Here's the proof that these things are working. Here's the proof that we're doing fire mitigation. Here's the proof that you're safe. Not even seeing that. So I want to orientate you. I will also put the link to in the description. I'll put a link to the video that's part 1 of this so you can catch up in case you haven't seen it. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. The shadow ban is real. They don't want the truth to get out, so I appreciate your support in that. So where am I at right now? I'm here on Lahaina Luna Road. That is Lahaina Intermediate School, LIS we call it. Right at the termination of this road is Lahaina Luna, the high school, Go Lunas. And there you can see the L. There is the solar field. One report stated that the solar field was actually not operational, but at 5 a.m. multiple people reported seeing a white flash below the substation. And the fire, right the day after or 2 days after the fire, someone sent me an image of that being the highest burn mark. The winds, obviously, the prevailing 45-mile-an-hour winds were coming from the mountains, the Mauka side, down to the ocean. So it would kind of make sense that the highest point would be the ignition source, because it would be unlikely, in my opinion, for the fire to go against the wind and go up the hill. But 2 people I read in the report said at 0500 there was a white flash below this substation. There's another substation, it's in Kanapali, Pu'ukoli'i, but this is the first major substation. Then the fire, according to the report, officially started here at pole 25, and there's Facebook video showing some flames right here. And then the fire department came and put it out, and they left. They left for lunch. They put it out. They said it was 100% contained, I believe at 9 a.m. And I don't know exactly what time the last firefighter left, but they left. So what's interesting about that is there was a high wind warning that was issued right during that time, extreme fire danger. So one question I'd like an answer to is why, if there was a grass fire next to homes, and there's 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds and an extreme fire danger alert was issued, why would they not leave somebody here to monitor this? But if you look at the timelines in the report, what's really interesting is the firemen were gone for a little bit, but they came back pretty much right away. I'm going to say within 20 or 30 minutes, somebody, I believe in this neighborhood, said a second fire started, and it was some white smoldering smoke about 100 yards by poles 1A and B, which I believe those are poles 1A and B. So there was some white smoke right there at 2:52 p.m. was called, and the fire department came back right away. And they were positioned downwind of the fire because where the first structure burns, and I'm actually going to take you there right now on my one wheel, and you can see it's about 0.6 miles away over the bypass, a 4-lane concrete, asphalt concrete, I think it is concrete actually, bypass. This neighborhood over here, if you remember my reporting after the fire, is the one that had a small field inside of the neighborhood that was completely scorched. There was a melted car, and there was a dog inside the grill of the car that was obviously not alive, but its fur was perfectly intact. And what's interesting is none of the reports show that field as having been burned. They have these red marks to show which of these areas were burned. I believe this field right here was on fire where this temporary housing is. And they have red marks to show it, but they don't show the completely isolated field below this, which I'm going to show you here in a second, where the car was incinerated and the dog was in the grill perfectly intact. The report does not show that as a burn area, which I find that interesting. I don't know why they would. So now please keep in mind that the fire on August 8th is just on the other side of these homes, traveling towards the ocean in the ravine. This is Lahaina Luna Road and Kuialua, Kuialua. But I want you to get a sense of how far the fire traveled in a relatively short period of time. 2:52 is when it was called in, white smoke smoldering and flames appearing, and then the first structure at 540 Lahaina Luna Road burned, I believe, at 3:28. So we're talking 30 minutes and change. This fire traveled all the way. Now this is the field. This is the field right here where that house is located. That house and those cars, that's the field that burned inexplicably. I'm trying to stay on this side of the road so I can show you guys stuff as I'm getting in trouble with the drivers. And none of these homes in this neighborhood suffered any damage. All those homes are okay. Perfectly fine. So now the fire is traveling on the other side of that black fence right there. And then just to orientate you, we're coming up on the bypass. I'm going to show you how big the bypass is. And those are the flags and the pictures of the deceased and the memorial created for the fire victims. God rest their soul. And part of what motivates me to do these videos is I believe justice is in order, and answers and future safety of the community is what's important. So fire actually would have passed directly where those flags are, right, where the memorial is. You can see there's this large wall. This wall was here. There's another large wall there. So it must have gotten into this gap right here. I mean, I'm just imagining this, but it definitely crossed the bypass right here. And then this is the turn. If you're coming on the bypass to get on Lahaina Luna Road, all you high schoolers know that's the way to school. And then it must have traveled into this field right here. And then the first home to burn, according to the report, is way down there. And I'm going to take you there. I'm going to show you because there's something that's very interesting. And I also want you to take note of this right here. I think this is one of those damning pieces of evidence. Do you guys know what that is? Anyone in the comments? That's a water tower, water tank. I don't know how many gallons, but I'm sure it's hundreds of thousands of gallons of water right there. And please keep in mind that water trucks, private water trucks from Truth Excavation were in there helping protect this neighborhood, people with hoses. But there was really no, water trucks were used, I believe, to extinguish this field over here, but no structures have been really protected by any kind of water yet. So there's plenty of water in the water system. And there's a water tank right there. And so what I'm going to show you at the first burn site, the first structure fire, and I can imagine you probably know where I'm going with this, there's fire hydrants. So in my humble opinion, the cause of the Lahaina fire is lack of water. Firefighters, I've heard after my last video that, and again, I think a lot of this is, interestingly enough, it's not mentioned, it's twice mentioned in the report, saying they came here to protect the structures and to put out the fires. They hooked their hoses up to the fire hydrants and there was no water. So now this fire is traveling through these bushes, through this tall grass. You can see the still tall, dry grass here, just like there was the day of the fire. Nothing has changed. Over here is a park. This park is irrigated, and it was irrigated the day of the fire. It's always been green. Beautiful sunset happening over there. And so these structures over here on the right, they did burn. You can see the new construction right there. However, that's not the first structure that burned. Eventually, these houses next to the park, what is that, Kilavia Mauka Park, did burn. But they weren't the first structures to burn right here. The highest structure to burn is right back in there, where Tyler, my good friend who's been on the channel a number of times, good friend of the family, the highest home in Lahaina Luna to burn was right there, right back in that area by that red truck. But it was not the first home to burn. The first home to burn officially, according to the report that I'm going to put the link in the description, was 540 Lahaina Luna Road. And we're going to go there right now. And now you can get a sense of how close this is to Lahaina town. Right there is the Pioneer Mill. And just on the other side of Pioneer Mill is, of course, Lahaina Luna Road. I mean, is the highway, Honopi'ilani Highway. Oh, the other damning piece of evidence, in my humble opinion, that we don't have any answers for. Hang on, let me just turn this around real quick. What do you see right here, below the park? I'm sure I passed it, but I just didn't say anything. What do you see right here? There is the most sophisticated public siren system in our country, is what we've been told. That had that been activated that day, I believe there would have been no loss of life, because everybody would have been alerted and awoken from their naps. Everybody was taking naps that day. So the question is, where's the accountability for why the system was not turned on? You know, you would think, I mean, I would think, wouldn't you think, that almost 2 years after the fire, that there would be some public announcement from the government saying, this is why there wasn't any water, this is why the sirens didn't go off, this is proof that it's working now, this is proof that the water system is in place, this is proof that we're doing fire mitigation and we're keeping the grasses cut back. And if anything, West Maui today is 10 times drier than it was 2 years ago, because they're now attacking water rights and they're cutting off irrigation to the golf courses, to the parks were recently all dry. I've noticed they've kind of greened up here lately, but certainly the golf courses, Kapalua, totally brown. There's 6 or 7 lawsuits happening right now over water. But you would think, in light of the fire danger, that the water would be allowed to flow, but that's not the case. So right here we are at 540 Lahaina Luna Road. This is the first structure, according to the report, the official report. This is the first structure to burn right here. And as you can see, here we are 2 years later. There's literally still ash and debris, tall dry grasses. But here's what I find really interesting, is just a few yards from the home, you have a fire hydrant right there. It looks new. There's many fire hydrants in this neighborhood, many. I've been driving around, looking at them, counting them, taking pictures. They're all numbered. Wouldn't it make sense that the government would explain to the people of Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, the country, hey, this is what that is connected to. This is the pipe. Where does that pipe go? Does that pipe go to that water tower that I just showed you up there? Does it go to that water tower? Are there records of how much water was in that water tower? Or where does this fire hydrant connect to? And why wasn't it functional? Because in my opinion, that is the answer to why Lahaina, what caused Lahaina to burn, was the fact that these firefighters were trying to do their job, but when they hooked up, there was no water. And then this narrative comes out about, oh, there was not enough water rights, and we tried to get water permission to open up the reservoirs and all this stuff. It's like, so then obviously everybody just assumes like, oh, they must have been fighting so many fires that they ran out of water and they needed more water. It's like, no, they didn't have water to fight the first structure. Is that sinking in? So my question to you is this: where's the investigation? Where's Trump? Where's Gabbard? Where are the people that are going to find out what's going on? And is it safe today? Is there water flowing today? I know that, look, are they doing any kind of mitigation? Do you see, like, look at this. This is the first house that burned. It's got plenty of dry grass. I'm going to show you this. You're not even going to believe this. Like, there's an electrical line right above us, right? That's what caused the fire, officially, in their narrative. And do we have some dry kindling here? Just sitting here. This is like the monument of the first home to burn in Lahaina. Yet we have like a big, giant, burned out, dead, dry tree right below electrical power lines. I mean, you just cannot make this stuff up. You can't make it up. Like, it's shocking to me. So I think the questions that the people deserve answers to is, why didn't the fire hydrants work? We have firemen, they're trained, they were here, they were called here, that's all factual. Fire trucks were here. Why couldn't they put that fire out? Why wasn't that fire hydrant working? And is it working today? Can we get a demonstration that it's working? Why were those sirens not set off? Has anyone publicly apologized to the 100+ people and families, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, grandfathers, grandmothers, aunties, uncles, children, and said, hey, this is what happened. We take responsibility. We're sorry. This is the explanation, and this is not going to happen again. And here's the proof that it's not going to happen again. But I don't think, unless you can help me out here, people, I've searched Google, I've read the reports. I mean, they're long and they're detailed. There's 2 mentions of firefighters not having access. The fire hydrant didn't have water. Twice it was mentioned, but certainly never came up as a cause of the Lahaina fire. If I light a match, right, in your house, and you blow it out, what causes the fire? Me lighting the match and putting it up on the curtains, or is it the fact that nobody blew it out? If someone's there with a bucket of water and they can put out, you see what I'm saying? Whatever caused the fire, it started. It was in a field, I get that. But the fact that the firefighters came to the very, very first structure and were unable to put it out because there was no water in the hydrant, and then we get all of the confusion around the story behind that, and that not having been addressed. If you Google Lahaina fire, water, you'll see that there was actually a court case that went before the court in regards to releasing more water. You just have to watch it. It's crazy. Like, I'll put a link in the description of that video because it's really infuriating. So anyway, I wanted you to see the distance that had to be covered by that fire in this field right here, starting up below that solar field, coming across the 4-lane highway from 252 when it was reported as a white smoldering fire, 50-mile-an-hour winds. Fire trucks were on site. They were dispatched right away, and they were here. And I believe the wind probably carried that fire down here that fast, and I believe that structure caught fire. But the question is why couldn't they put it out? Because if they'd have put that fire out right there, and the same thing over here, I'm assuming that this was maybe next in line to catch fire. Somehow the fire crossed the road, and there's fire hydrant right there. I took a picture of it right next to that house. There's fire hydrants everywhere. So in the comments, let me know. What's your theory? Did this shed some light? Did you understand the dynamics, the geography, the location, the distance, the bypass, the water tank, the siren tower, and the fact that there was not a single drop of water that was put on any structure, to my knowledge, in the Lahaina fire, but especially the first ones, right? Because once the first ones go, and the way the wind was, I mean, it's just, it's like dominoes. But the first domino, in my humble opinion, should not have fallen because there should be water charge. There's no, what's the reason? I just don't understand it. You have a huge water tank. If you're just joining the live, there's this massive water tank. And I'd like to find out, can we figure out the diagram? Does this water tank feed the fire hydrants? If so, then it's obviously a gravity, could be gravity fed system because it's downhill. And I believe there's enough water pressure from gravity to fight a fire. I'm pretty sure. As a matter of fact, there's a home in Laniapoko that has a fire hydrant off of a water tank. And I asked the homeowner, is there enough pressure? And he said, yeah. Just on the gravity fed to push enough water out of the fire hydrant. This is the memorial. I believe it's a red bloody teardrop. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I think this is worthy of sharing on Twitter X and getting it on Truth Social. I got booted off of Twitter X because I said something positive about Trump. I got booted off of Facebook for the same reason. So I'm kind of counting on you guys. YouTube is my platform, even though I've been shadow banned. But if you're on those platforms, please share the video. I believe an investigation is in order. I believe answers should come forth. I believe Maui County and the officials that are all still in power, that all just got raises. The police chief is still here in power. The mayor, ironically, the West Maui Council member, chair, is in charge of emergency preparedness. That's one of her task force committees or whatever that she chairs. So I think that they deserve, the community deserves, and certainly those that lost everything, that were injured, that lost family members, that lost their lives, deserve to hear from those that were responsible in the government positions at that time, from the fire chief, from like a big council of people that get together. They got the mayor there, you have the, I believe they got to find Herman Andaya, pull him out of wherever he disappeared to, the emergency management director. He just, quit his job and never heard from again. And he was over on Oahu and didn't even bother flying over here. And I just believe if aloha in fact exists, well, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe these people are completely soulless and are afraid to take account for what happened or what they did, what they didn't do. But I believe the community and the world deserves answers. So if you feel the same way, please let me know. Please comment on the video, please share it. And if you have any insight, if you have any suggestions, please put them in the comments, because obviously here we are 2 years later, and what I thought was going to be a change in the regime, what I thought was going to be real answers, truth coming out from these different reports, I'm not seeing anything that really reflects the true reason why this town burned, and then what's going on today to make sure that the people of this community are still safe. Why is all the water being shut off? Why is it drier than it ever has been? There's an attack on the VI. It's one of the activist positions. They want to get control of the VI, which is the water, so everything is super dry. Doesn't make any sense, but I have a feeling that if we don't start enforcing the fire breaks, if we don't start testing the fire hydrants, if we don't get to the reason why there was no water, has there been an explanation? Why was there no water that day? Again, there wasn't 200 houses that they've been spraying water on all day long. They didn't have water for the first house, okay? It really pisses me off, I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Much aloha. And till next time, Eric West out. Hey, before I forget, helpdaniel.org. Please go helpdaniel.org. He's a fire victim. He's blind, And we're trying to build up enough money in his Give, Send, Go to provide support for him now and in the future. I forgot to mention him on the last video I made. And all these videos are dedicated to helping Daniel. So helpdaniel.org, if you could please, if you want to help a fire victim. He's a great guy. $7, $10, $5. Do it on the recurring. Do it on the recurring, because he needs help every month. Please, helpdaniel.org, please. That's all I ask. That's it. All the money goes to Daniel, and he needs it. So thank you. Helpdaniel.org. I didn't forget this time, Daniel. Much aloha. Maui no ka'oi. A little beautiful shot. A big beautiful shot of the sunset of pole 25, which I believe is a fake narrative. I think the fire started at the highest fire mark on the hill below the substation with the white flash at 5 a.m. That's what I believe. I believe the eyewitnesses right here. The people that were here, they know the truth. They were here. And these people called in, someone in this neighborhood called in the white smoldering. Why was the fire department called off of this fire in the middle of 50, 60 mile an hour winds, extreme high fire danger, and they just had a fire event next to structures? Why would they leave? Yeah. Yeah. Someone's got to start growling and barking, you know? Let's go.